Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining this webinar today. My name is Tim Styling and I'm the Manager of Knowledge Management here at ConnectALL. And I really appreciate you jumping on today's webinar as I start to kick things off ahead of a really exciting new series that will help teach you all about ConnectALL's latest release of our 2.11 value stream management platform. And this platform has a lot of really amazing enhancements that throughout this series, my colleagues and I will continue to discuss a little bit about what's being offered and how it's going to help you automate your value stream like you've never been able to before. So let's go ahead and dive on in and get started. So one of the things that we at ConnectALL were thinking about in the context of value stream management is that one of the key reasons for value stream management is to seek predictability. You want predictability throughout your software delivery process so that things are running as if they're a well-oiled machine, so that any dates that you provide to your customer are going to be accurate and so that they know when to expect things. And you want people to follow your processes. You want to make sure that there's governance and compliance throughout the process to make sure nothing slips through the cracks that shouldn't get to customer-facing code. And this seeking of predictability is the reason why we have built a lot of the features that you see here on this screen into 2.11. And in today's webinar, as well as throughout this series, we're going to dive specifically into each of these individual enhancements to help you understand how they can help you succeed in value stream management throughout your software delivery process. But before we dive into these deeply at all, in today's intro, I'd like to give you a high 30,000 feet view perspective of what each of these is going to cover and why it matters for you. So starting with today, I'm going to discuss a little bit around our user interface and our user experience, which is really baked into some of our much more streamlined views, which allow you as the user to be able to pinpoint and understand all of the information and how things are flowing throughout your value stream in a way that you can take rapid action immediately from one screen without having to dig into multiple areas in order to do what you need to do. You want to know what's going on and you want to be able to take action on it. And this release will help you do just that, as I'll go into a little later today. We've also added the capability to organize your value streams and organize your automations by teams and groups. And this is very exciting because what it allows users of ConnectALL to do is scale up with their company's growth. So they're able to organize their value streams by specific teams, by specific pipelines, by specific artifacts, even by specific product value streams. And by organizing in this way and then being able to drill deeper down to a team level, folks are able to figure out using their ConnectALL platform who's responsible for what and how is the information flowing from an individual team's area of responsibility. So whether the teams are large or small, particularly in a safe ecosystem, organizations are able to now manage and organize by role, responsibility, and output from individual teams. We've also introduced this idea of automation types. So when we previously talked about integrations and application links, the implication behind some of those terms is that ConnectALL's platform was utilized just for synchronization. And that's not the case, but that could be implied from some of the terms. So we wanted to, first of all, change the name to automations. And then we wanted to add the ability for folks using ConnectALL to be able to set a specific automation type for your particular automations. And the reason for this is so that you can understand the specific purpose of that particular automated workflow. So some of them may be synchronization, making sure these two systems and their records are the same and making sure they're staying synchronized. You may also want to set up a trigger where something that happens over here or some setting over here triggers an action in this other environment. You may want to set up a monitor, which means that you're keeping an eye on this one system, and when there's a particular setting or when something happens, you want folks over here to be alerted. Or you might set up data collection, in which case you're harvesting information from your tools and storing them in a database to then be used for crunching numbers or to display metrics, whatever it is you need those numbers for. We've also added two brand new adapters to the ConnectALL ecosystem, and these are logic flow adapters. And what's super cool about these is they allow you to implement business workflow logic based upon multiple inputs, not just one system, to then pass through for another connection. So just as an example, let's say that you don't want to trigger a build in Jenkins unless a particular record has been marked as done in Jira, has been marked as passed in Micro Focus ALM, and has been approved by the team using ServiceNow. And only when all three of those things are true will a build be automatically triggered. And that's something you can do with logic flow adapters. And so as you can see, this is incredibly beneficial for you to be able to establish governance protocols and enforce compliance throughout the value stream. So nothing's getting passed through unless all of the criteria you've set have been met. We've also added a brand new script manager. And what's really interesting about this area is within the ConnectALL user interface, users are now able to add and edit custom scripts directly from here. So one common use case that we've seen is concatenation. So let's say you have two fields over here in Jira, and you want to consolidate them down into one field over here in ServiceNow. You can do that by adding a custom script. And there are many, many more use cases for custom scripts. But really the key is in this particular area in the user interface, you're able to greatly extend your transformation capabilities for your automations, and you're able to maximize the customization of what you want ConnectALL to do in the context of your value stream. The final piece that we're going to discuss is a new API wizard associated with our universal adapter. And what this allows you to do is take a Swagger API and be able to pull the information from that Swagger API into a wizard where then the user can select the individual artifacts that they want to be included in that universal adapter. And this makes the process of creating a universal adapter much, much faster and takes out some of the manual pain that was required in order to create one in the past. And what this allows the end user to then do is take full advantage of their value stream automation patterns, no matter what the tools are that they're using, because this allows universal adapter creation to happen much quicker and much easier. Now you may be asking yourself, what on earth is an automation pattern? Well, at its core, what an automation pattern is simply a repetitive strategy based upon what it is you're looking to do and the actions that you're looking to take in a particular context. And if you're looking to take an action in a particular context, odds are that it's pretty common in a general process for IT organizations in general. So as an example, anyone going through a DevOps journey is probably going to have some similar steps in order to grow in their maturity. And so within those individual steps, there are certain automation patterns that exist where most companies are going to benefit from automating certain pieces of their value stream. Now, one thing to note is that these automation patterns are based on activities, not on tools. And so they are by nature tool agnostic. And just as a practical example, what you see here is an example of a management between software development processes and ITSM. One company is using Jira to manage their development projects. The other is using Rike. But since they're using the same automation pattern, the strategy for connecting the two will be very similar. And they're able to take advantage of those automations in very similar ways. Now, as we get into the user experience piece of things, one of the things that we've realized here at ConnectALL is that people typically log into our platform for two primary reasons. First, they want to manage their existing automations. They want to make sure things are flowing properly, and if there's any action that needs to be taken on existing workflow automation, they want the ability to do that quickly and easily. And as you can see from some of the examples here on the screen, these are things that people typically do. The other reason to log into ConnectALL's platform is to create new automations. You may want to automate something within a similar connection stream. So if you want to add a connection to, as an example, a Jira and Azure DevOps environment that you already have an automation for, but just want to do things in a different way. Or alternatively, you may want to create a whole new workflow with different connections. Folks will want to log into ConnectALL to do that, and also be able to then associate those automations with particular groups or teams. And as we were thinking about those two primary motivations for logging in, we've enhanced the user experience to help users be able to do both much more quickly and effectively and efficiently. So let me go ahead and share my screen and bring up the dashboard. And starting with the idea of managing existing automations, one thing that folks will notice here immediately on the dashboard is up here on the top toolbar. You've got some statistics that help you understand how information is flowing through the automations that you've set up in your ConnectALL environment. You're able to see how many artifacts are queued, how many new artifacts have been created, and then how many transactions are happening between your systems. So you can easily monitor what's going on in the last 24 hours within your ConnectALL environment. If you also want to be able to monitor and then take action on a particular automation, you can either click directly on one of your automations or click on a connection that has active automations associated with it. And in this case, you'll see a pop-up with any of the automations that are using that particular connection as an endpoint. So then you can see the automations that you have and take immediate action if you want to trigger an instant run, or if you want to enable or disable that automation. You can do that directly from here with one click, so you're able to monitor and then take quick and rapid action. You can also click on the activity monitor over here on the left-hand side, and you'll see a pop-up that shows you how information is flowing within your value stream. And as you can see from mine, things are not flowing too well. And that brings me to my second point, which is error handling. In addition to monitoring, people that use ConnectALL and are utilizing the automations want to understand when something goes wrong. I want to know about it, and then I want to be able to quickly do something about it. And so the activity monitor can be useful for that, because you can actually filter down based on individual records and specifically target the failed records and see, okay, here's all the records and the automations within those records that have failed. So then once you've done that, you can come over here to the canvas, and you'll actually see on any active automations that have a failed synchronization, you'll see this icon that you can then click on and get a pop-up showing you the specific records that have failed. And then clicking on this arrow, you can see why it failed and get a specific and targeted message. In this case, I forgot to set up the to-do value within the state field, so ConnectALL doesn't know where to go. So I can go back and change that and fix it lickety-split. The other thing you'll notice from an error handling perspective is one of my connections has this red border associated with it. And previously, that's something that you would have had to dig through the log files in order to figure out if ConnectALL wasn't able to talk to a particular endpoint. But now you get to see it directly here on the dashboard. And so I can know, oh, I have to go check out Trainee4's Jira connection and figure out why ConnectALL is not able to talk to it. Then when it comes to organizing and figuring out which automations are where, as I touched on earlier, you can organize by specific groups and then specific teams within that group. I won't spend too much time here because there's going to be a dedicated webinar on that here in the series. And then the final thing when it comes to managing existing automations is when you click on the Automations tab and select any individual automation, you can come in here and very easily modify that application or that automation straight from here. So you can go in, change the fields, change the entities, and update anything that needs to be updated when situations change. The second reason people log into ConnectALL is to set up a new automation. And there's 3 very easy ways to do that. First, if you don't want to start from scratch and you want to have an existing automation serve as a bit of a template, you can click this button to clone that automation in one click. So then you have a brand new automation that can then be edited accordingly. The second thing you can do is drag and drop between 2 existing endpoints. So then when you give that a name, you can come up here, you can set the type, and then click modify, and that starts the process of creating an automation between those two existing endpoints. And the final way to create a new automation straight from this automation tab is to click the new automation button you see in the upper right-hand corner, and then select your endpoints and go from there to kick off your automation creation process. And when it comes to managing your automations and figuring out what you already have, you can either do so visually or in a list view straight from the automations tab. So as you can see, there's a lot of really excellent updates made to the user experience. And I know that anyone that decides to upgrade and or hop on board for the very first time with 2.11 is going to absolutely love these changes that have been made. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about some of these other changes in deeper depth, we have a series of webinars coming up. Again, I'm very excited to be kicking off this series because there's going to be some great things you'll hear from colleagues of mine. If you're interested, you can log on to our website and check our events page to get registered. I've also gone ahead and shared the link here in the chat. And I'll go ahead and leave things open for any questions that folks may have. So if you have a question, go ahead and submit it directly into the Q&A, and I'll answer them in any way I can. We do have one question that has asked, can we use ConnectALL for GitHub? Absolutely. GitHub is something that ConnectALL is able to be used for. If you're curious about how that works, please feel free to speak with your ConnectALL representative if you're a customer, or if you're looking to hop on board, go ahead and reach out to sales@connectall.com, and they'll be able to walk you through exactly what that looks like. But we can certainly help with GitHub for sure. So I'll give another minute or two for any additional questions that folks may have. But otherwise, if there are no further questions, I thank you for joining us. And I hope that this isn't the last of this series that you will see, because my colleagues will be able to dive deeper into a lot of these topics in an excellent way, helping you understand how to use these features and what value it will bring to you and your organization as you seek to automate, become more predictable, and enforce governance throughout the process. So thank you so much for your time. I look forward to seeing you, and I look forward to seeing you be able to learn more about these improvements. And I actually got not necessarily a question, but a comment saying impressive improvements. I definitely agree. The folks that built this out did an excellent job, and I get to be a hype man, and it's really easy when the improvements are so great. So hope you guys have an excellent rest of your day. Go ahead and reach out to sales@connectall.com if you're not a customer and would like to learn more. And if you are a customer, customer success@connectall.com. We can help you learn about any more of these features directly. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day. And I look forward to seeing you soon.